June 17, 1775, a day carved into American history with the smoke and fire of battle. As dawn broke over the Massachusetts Peninsula, American colonists braced for a confrontation that would test their grit and determination: the Battle of Bunker Hill. Positioned on the high ground overlooking Boston, colonial forces prepared to defend their makeshift fortifications against one of the world's most formidable armies. This battle wasn't just a military engagement. It was a brutal clash that would prove the mettle of the American spirit in the face of overwhelming odds. Today, we dive into the fierce and bloody day at Bunker Hill, a pivotal struggle in the Revolutionary War that shaped the course of the conflict and the resolve of those fighting for independence. As tensions in the American colonies reached a boiling point, the siege of Boston became the focus of a simmering conflict. British forces, quartered in the city, were surrounded by American militias, igniting a standoff that threatened to explode at any moment. The strategic importance of the hills surrounding Boston was clear to both sides. Control over these elevations meant dominance over the city and its crucial harbor. American commanders, recognizing this advantage, decided to fortify Bunker Hill, only to mistakenly set their defenses upon the smaller Breeds Hill, closer to Boston, and more vulnerable to British attack. This error set the stage for a confrontation that would not just test military strategy, but the very heart of the American resistance, showcasing the courage and tenacity of the fledgling forces against a seasoned enemy. Under the cover of darkness on the night of June 16th, American forces led by Colonel William Prescott undertook a daring and silent maneuver. Their mission was clear: fortify Breeds Hill and prepare for the inevitable British assault. With stealth and speed, the colonists used the night to transform the hill into a stronghold, piling up earthworks and hastily constructing barricades. By the first light of dawn, the British were met with an unexpected sight: newly erected fortifications staring down at them from Breeds Hill. The presence of these defenses in such a strategic position sent a ripple of urgency through the British command. General Howe, recognizing the threat to the British position in Boston, knew that immediate action was required to dislodge the American rebels. The task before the British was formidable. The Americans, though poorly equipped, were strategically positioned and determined to hold their ground. This was not to be a battle of mere maneuvering. It was to be a contest of endurance and will. Howe ordered his troops to prepare for a direct assault, a move fraught with risk given the fortified position of the Americans. Throughout the day, as the British prepared their attack, the Americans continued to strengthen their fortifications. Men of all ages and backgrounds, driven by a shared purpose, worked tirelessly. They were farmers, tradesmen, and laborers, united under a common cause, molding a defensive line that they hoped would stand against the British onslaught. The air was thick with tension and anticipation. As the Americans set their sights on the red-coated figures forming up across the battlefield, a sense of destiny hung over Breeds Hill. This was to be a defining moment, a true test of the resolve and courage of the colonial forces. The morning air of June 17th was shattered by the roar of British cannon. The Redcoats, confident in their might, marched forward in tight formations towards Breeds Hill. But as they closed in, they were met with a grim resolve from the colonial defenders, who waited patiently, muskets in hand under the command of Colonel Prescott. "Don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes." This famous command echoed along the American lines. It wasn't just practical, given their limited ammunition. It was symbolic, a testament to their precision and restraint under fire. The first British assault was a spectacle of red and smoke, musket balls cutting through the morning mist. But it faltered under a barrage of disciplined American gunfire. The Redcoats retreated, regrouped, and, with a mix of anger and pride, bruised, charged again. The second assault was no less fierce. The British expected their opponents to break under pressure. Yet the Americans held their ground once more, their gunfire relentless, turning the hillside into a tableau of British retreats. By the third assault, the scene was desperate. The British, incensed and suffering heavy losses, pushed with everything they had. The Americans, their ammunition nearly spent, fought back with the ferocity of men defending their homeland. As their bullets ran out, the battle descended into brutal hand-to-hand combat. The air was thick with gunpowder and defiance. Bayonets clashed, and the sound of steel and shouts filled the battlefield. Even as the Americans began to pull back, their message was clear. This new army would not yield easily, nor without exacting a heavy toll. As the smoke cleared, the ground told the story of a Pyrrhic victory for the British. They had taken Breed's Hill, but at a staggering cost. The landscape was littered with the red of British uniforms, a somber testimony to the ferocity of the American resistance. The British had expected a swift defeat of the colonial militias, but what they encountered was a determined foe, ready to fight to the last man. This realization shook the British command to its core. The losses were severe. Nearly half of the British forces were struck down, wounded or dead, including a significant number of officers. The psychological impact of such unexpected resistance was profound. For the Americans, though forced to retreat, the battle was a testament to their capability and resolve. They had faced the might of the British Empire and had not only stood their ground, but had also inflicted heavy casualties. This encounter bolstered their confidence and united them further, fueling a deeper commitment across the colonies to the war effort. The news of the battle spread rapidly, igniting a fire of hope and defiance throughout the 13 colonies. The story of the farmers and tradesmen who had stood toe-to-toe with British regulars became a rallying cry, inspiring others to join the cause. The battle demonstrated that American forces could indeed stand up to the British, and it galvanized support for the Continental Army. In the war councils of the British, the Battle of Bunker Hill forced a reassessment of their strategies. The notion that this would be a short war was abandoned, replaced by the grim understanding that the colonies were in earnest revolt and prepared for a long and bitter conflict. The echoes of Bunker Hill reverberated far beyond the blood-stained slopes where it was fought. Although technically a British victory, the battle reshaped perceptions on both sides of the Atlantic and marked a pivotal turn in the Revolutionary War. For the Americans, Bunker Hill was not just a battle, it was a beacon of their capability and resolve. The colonial forces, composed mostly of ordinary citizens with minimal military training, had demonstrated remarkable valor and strategic acumen. This emboldened the colonies, proving to themselves and to the world that they could indeed hold their own against the might of the British Empire. The heavy British casualties prompted a wave of mourning and shock back in England, where the cost of the conflict began to be seriously questioned. Political and public support for the war waned as the reality of a long, grueling conflict became apparent. The British government faced increasing pressure to reconsider their approach to the colonies, signaling a shift in the war's narrative from a quick suppression to a drawn-out engagement fraught with political complications. On the strategic front, the battle spurred the Continental Congress to take more decisive actions. The need for better organized and more adequately supplied troops became clear. This led to significant efforts to bolster the Continental Army, including the appointment of George Washington as its commander, setting the stage for more organized military campaigns. The Battle of Bunker Hill also served as a crucial learning experience for both sides. The Americans refined their military tactics, embracing guerrilla warfare and more flexible command structures. The British, meanwhile, learned to respect their adversaries, a realization that led to changes in their tactical approach and battle plans in the ensuing years of the war. Today, as we reflect on this gritty chapter of American history, we remember not only the strategic outcomes and the shift in warfare tactics, but also the human spirit of resistance that was so vividly displayed on that June day in 1775. The legacy of Bunker Hill is not just in the soil stained by the blood of those who fought. It's in the spirit of defiance and determination that continues to inspire those who believe in a cause greater than themselves. Thank you for joining us on this journey back to a pivotal day in American history. If this story of battle and bravery has moved you, please like, subscribe, and share this video. Join the conversation in the comments below and let us know how the Battle of Bunker Hill resonates with you today.